Good morning. We are here this morning to honor a very special person in the lives of each and every one of us here at Trinity Church of Christ, and that is none other than Sister Verna O'Quinn. Her family is here with her this morning. I'm sure they are very, very proud of her this morning, as they are every day. During Black History Month, it is befitting to recognize our own member, Sister Verna O'Quinn, who summarizes how the church at Trinity Gardens began. In March 1948, the Powell family moved to Houston, Texas from Lufkin in East Texas. The family settled on Shotwell Street in Trinity Gardens. Back to their home was a Baptist minister who constantly asked Mrs. Viola Powell to attend his church. Always, Mrs. Powell refused, telling him she was a member of the Church of Christ. Finally, he told her that because of her steadfastness, he would tell another person who was also a member of the Church of Christ where she lived. Shortly thereafter, a young man appeared and introduced himself as M.C. Daniels. The two bonded immediately, as both liked people and liked to talk. In May, they began having Wednesday night Bible classes in their homes. There were 8 original members: Brother Daniels and his wife Trudy, her sisters Georgia, Rutha, and Ruthie Mae, her brother Giselle, Sister Powell, and her daughter, Verna O'Quinn. The group from Trinity Gardens began worshiping at the 5th Ward Church of Christ until Brother Paul Settle started to work in Settegas in the late 1950s. They then worshiped in Settegas, still having Wednesday night services from house to house. In 1951, Brother Benny Carr and his wife Josie moved to Houston and settled on Lockwood. In 1952, Sister Powell suggested to Brother Daniels, "We can have a church in Trinity Gardens." His reply was, "Yes, Sister Powell, but who's going to be the preacher?" Her answer was, "You." Had Brother Daniels ever entertained this idea? We don't know. I'm sure after discussing this with his wife, probably her family, and a lot of prayer, he accepted the challenge. On January 24th, 1953, 22 devoted saints met in the home of Brother and Sister Lyles and started the Church of Christ in Trinity Gardens. Brother Daniels was called as the minister, Brother Lyles the song leader, and he could really sing. All those Lyles could sing. Brother Atkins was a Sunday school teacher who taught for 25 years. Sister Ruthie Mae taught the young children. Sister Georgia, who later in that year married our own Brother R.D. Steptoe, was selected as the recording secretary. Sister Powell was the ladies' Bible class teacher, and Sister Jeruthi and Sister Atkins baked the unleavened bread for communion. From this small number, through faith, prayer, and commitment, the congregation grew. The church in Trinity Garden also had help from Settegas, financially and spiritually. Brother Daniels was a protege of Brother Paul Settles. Only 3 of the founders are with us today: Sister Mildred English, Brother R.D. Steptoe, and Sister Lynn Stevens, who was a mere child, the youngest child of Brother and Sister Atkins. From the original 8 that met at Sister Powell's home every Wednesday for 2 years, Sister O'Quinn is still with us. Luke 12:48 says, "For unto whomever much is given, of him shall be much required. Sister O'Quinn has been given the call to serve and continues to follow the path that was laid out for her. Sister O'Quinn has worked in the following ministries at Trinity Gardens Church of Christ: nursery, communion preparation, kitchen, baptismal ministry, nursing home ministry, the United Ladies of Houston that helps to support Southwestern Christian College, the health ministry. What else can I say?
About 3 weeks ago, Dr. Draper told us about his great-grandfather who lived and died about 200 years before he was born. And through his son, his grandson, and his great-grandson, Dr. Draper, the Draper line has continued. But there was a man who lived and died, walked the earth for 33 years, and had no child. Isaiah says, after he tells about his trials and tribulations, he asks, who will declare his generation? Because he was cut off. In other words, who is there going to say this man did? About more than 450 years later, along came Peter. And he writes through the same Holy Spirit that Isaiah wrote to the churches of what we now call Asia Minor. Ye are a chosen generation. How did they get chosen? The same as we. When they answered that noble question with a yes, do you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God? And were baptized in water for the remissions of their sins. They contacted the blood that was shed on Calvary. So we, the Church of Christ, carries the blood that God, Jesus Christ shed. Not only did Peter stop there, he said, "Ye are a lively priesthood, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people." And it's to you peculiar people that I am indebted today. Not only am I honored by you, I am humbled by you. And I would love to walk worthy of the honor that you have given me. Not being a millionaire, not being a poet, and not being an artist. I can't give you any money. I can't make a flowery speech. I can't paint a pretty picture. All I can say is I love you.